Welcome to our business law class. I'm your host Edward. Today we're going to do introduction to business law, and of course we're going to start by defining what a law is. And law is defined as a set of rules or principles that govern the conduct of affairs in a given community at a given time, whereby machinery is provided for an aggrieved party to enforce its rights in case any of these rules or principles are broken. And of course, we are going to see various points in that definition, which will help us in understanding deeply or better the definition. The first phrase is a set of rules, and so law is a set or a body of rules. The rules may originate from customs, acts of parliament, court cases, or some other acceptable sources. And so after the set of rules, we see another phrase which is guidance of human conduct. Of course, law is meant to guide the conduct of humans as they interact with each other within the society, and therefore the next phrase is it is applicable to a community. Of course, laws are applicable to a given community at a given time, because after time laws are seen to keep on changing, and so it must be applicable to a given society at a given time. And of course, a law has to be enforceable through the enforceable bodies like the courts and the policemen. The next activity we are going to do, or the next subtopic, is the differentiation of law and morality. And of course, we have already defined what law is, and now we are looking at what morality is. And so morality is the generally acceptable code of conduct within a given community. Morality may not be lawful, but may not sometimes be lawful, but it is what is generally acceptable or respectable within society. And so we say that you may be against morality if you disrespect your elders, but you are not. It is not unlawful if you disrespect them. Nobody will take you to court because you have disrespected your elders. And then we continue and look at what a law is supposed to do, or the purposes or the works of law, the purpose of law, which of course is regulating the human behavior. Of course, we have talked about that in the definition, that law is meant to regulate the conduct of persons. Take an example of somebody who is driving. It's always required in our country, Kenya, to drive on the left side. You should always keep left unless you are overtaking. And so in that case, it has regulated the behavior of the driver who is on the road. The other one is that it provides justice to members of the society. Of course, the aggrieved party will go to the law courts, and of course justice will be served to them because of the mechanisms or the machinery of law. The next item is that it maintains political and economic stability. Of course, take an example of law of property, which defines when and how to own property, and when and how to sell property, or to detach yourself from a given property. And so it helps in maintaining political and economic stability, because it also looks at the political structures and the administration structures in a given country. It protects the fundamental rights and freedoms of individuals. Take an example of rights of women, children, right to life, right to food, right to education. Law is meant to protect all of these, which are called the fundamental rights and freedoms of individuals. Take an example of freedom of speech, and so on and so forth. It helps in establishing procedures and regulations regarding the dealings among individuals, and maintains the peace and security in a given country. The last but not least subtopic is a classification of law, and we are going to see what written law is. Okay, the first classification is written and unwritten. We are going to see what the difference is between written and unwritten. The next is municipal or national law and international law. The next is public and private law, and the next one being substantive and procedural law. The last one being criminal and civil law. And of course, we're going to see how these various classifications are defined or how they come into operation. And we are going to see an example of a written law as the Constitution. Written law is something that, or law that has been codified or deduced to a given document. And of course, unwritten law has not been written in a given document. And so it may only be accessible through witnesses or through experts who have not codified it into a given document. An example is the African customary law. The next one is the national or the municipal law, which is law that is applicable or operational in a given country. And international law, of course, is that which is operational or governs the conduct of activities across borders. And of course, international law is divided into public international and private international. The next is public versus private, and of course public law is that one which the government have a direct interest in, and private law is that which the government does not have an interest in. An example would be the law of torts, law of property, succession, and such kind of laws. The next one is substantive and procedural law, and of course substantive law is the actual rules or the set of rules regarding civil